kind of death. The people he swept by whispered a name, one that had attached itself to him not by choice, but by the sin he represented, the god he was all but a mortal form of. In the throne room, the ruler had been expecting him. He saw the leathery taloned wings of the guard the king was in conversation with before he was dismissed. A night crawler, perhaps the worst of the 3 vampire curses. Night crawlers couldn't touch the daylight. The hooded male spoke his intent. We agreed 1 century. I have given 2. Now I have come for what you owe me. His voice was as cold as ice and as dark as night. The king wore a crown, but it was as good as a child's costume, an image with hollow authority. At least without him. But he'd given far more time in service than they'd bargained for. If what they prophesize is true, we must find her first. The Celestials are already being sighted on this side of the veil, testing our defenses. Magic will weaken again, and we can stop the return of this war before it has a chance. No, the hooded male growled. It rattled through him, rage so sharp and lethal it shifted midnight to black and leaked cold shadows through the room. The king observed them cautiously. If you want to keep that throne against them, and keep the vampires believing in your reign, you'll have to do it yourself. He didn't enjoy the idea of leaving now. In fact, that was too light for the feeling that tore him to his very core, at the image of her facing it all without him, until he remembered he was the cause of everything that had shattered his world, hers, many centuries ago. To be without him was the only way she stood a chance. The king spoke. What will you do if you manage to make it back at all? It is a world you do not know, one that may cast you out permanently before you can discover a thing. He didn't care. None of that frightened him. He didn't care if instead he became trapped in a void of nothing. It was better than being the reason they would not win the war about to rise again. You have become legendary. You would give it all up. Tell me where to go, he said through gritted teeth. His mind was made up. It had been 2 centuries ago. He would turn on the whole damn world before he gave another year. Choking filled the room as he slipped into the minds of every guard, cutting off their ability to breathe. If you keep me here, I swear I will kill you. I never wanted that crown, but I will take it. Very well, the king said, eyes of disappointment and resentment locking with his. He had long since hardened to the beads of rejection. If this is to be farewell, I would like to show you the way. The king turned, and the hooded male let go of the guards, who gasped for their stolen air. Follow me.
1. I didn't think I'd be so reluctant to greet death as the man I watched die. From above, I was a mere spectator to his pleas for his children, his wife, and the job he wished to spend the rest of his years working for the one who stood to claim his life. He didn't know I was there. Every time I watched a man on his knees, I couldn't help my need to observe from the high rafters, wondering if I'd relate to his pleas if my own breaths were numbered. With my fragmented memories only spanning 5 years, I had little to attach my purpose to. It was as if Hector Goldfell heard no cries as he gave a nod to the brute of a man pinning the victim down with a single large hand on his shoulder. He wouldn't spill blood, not in this room. He wouldn't disturb the bustling nighttime entertainment in the main room of his establishment with this man's death. I pinched my lips at the sickening twist of his neck, fortunately not hearing the crack over the chatter and low music before his body slumped. It churned my stomach all the same. As though he'd exerted himself, Hector slumped into the nearest booth, flicking his chin so the few locks of red hair weren't touching his eyes anymore. when two beautiful women...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.